You know what's wild to me? People spend 40, 50 grand on a car just to sit in traffic doing the same 10-mile commute every single day. But what if I told you there's a car out there that does everything you actually need a daily driver to do, looks genuinely sharp doing it, and doesn't ask you to empty your savings account to get behind the wheel? That's exactly what's been on my mind ever since I got up close and personal with the 2026 Opel Corsa. Today we're getting into all of it, the specs and what's powering this thing, the exterior design, the interior experience, and then I'm wrapping up with my honest personal opinion on whether the Corsa deserves a spot on your shortlist. Let's get into it. But before we do, real quick, if you're hanging around here for the first time, welcome to Luxury Motor. We're just genuine car people who love breaking down what actually matters when you're making a car buying decision. No fluff, no nonsense, just real talk. Go ahead and hit subscribe so you never miss a video. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you riding with us. Okay, now let's talk Corsa. Starting with the specs, because look, I've learned over the years that understanding what's actually under the hood tells you a lot about what kind of relationship you're going to have with a car long term. And the 2026 Corsa has options, which I always appreciate because it means Opel actually thought about different kinds of buyers. On the conventional powertrain side, you're looking at a range of turbocharged 3- and 4-cylinder petrol engines. The entry level starts around 75 horsepower, which I'll be honest with you, is light. I used to think any turbocharged engine would feel peppy enough in a small car, but I've come to understand that 75 horses in modern traffic requires some patience on your part. It's fine for pure city driving, but you'll notice it on faster roads. The sweeter spot in the petrol range is the 1.2-liter 3-cylinder turbo in its higher state of tune, pushing out around 130 horsepower. From my point of view, this is the version that actually feels alive. It pulls confidently, the turbo response is reasonably quick, and it gives the Corsa a character that makes you want to actually drive it, rather than just tolerate it. Paired with either a 6-speed manual or an 8-speed automatic, the whole package feels cohesive and well-matched. But here's where things get genuinely exciting for me, the Corsa Electric. Because what I've noticed about the European small car market is that electrification done right in a compact package can be absolutely transformative, and Opel has been at this EV game long enough to refine the formula. The 2026 Corsa Electric runs a 156 horsepower electric motor, drawing from a 54 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That gives you a real-world range sitting comfortably around 220 to 250 miles, depending on how you drive it. I've come to understand that range anxiety in a small EV is way less of an issue than people think when the car is primarily used as a city and suburban daily driver, and 220-plus miles in a Corsa Electric context is genuinely more than enough for the vast majority of real-world use cases. DC fast charging gets you from 20 to 80% in around 30 minutes, which is perfectly reasonable. For me, the electric version isn't just an alternative to the petrol Corsa, it's actually the version I'd personally be most drawn to in 2026 because of how naturally the EV powertrain suits a compact city car format. Now let's talk about how this thing looks, because I believe exterior design on a small car is actually more challenging than on a larger vehicle. You've got less canvas to work with, proportions are harder to get right, and the difference between something looking cute versus genuinely cool is razor thin. What I've noticed Opel did with the 2026 Corsa refresh is they leaned into a sharper, more confident visual language. The front end carries Opel's new design philosophy forward, with this bold visor-style element that runs across the nose, housing the LED headlights in a way that looks intentional and modern. The Opel Compass badge sits clean and prominent in the center, and the lower bumper has this structured, angular look that makes the car appear planted and purposeful, rather than soft and anonymous. Looking back at previous Corsa generations, the jump in visual confidence is real. The 2026 version doesn't look like it's apologizing for being small. It looks like it knows exactly what it is and owns it completely. The side profile has these tight, precise body lines that catch light well, and the overall silhouette is a classic 3-door or 5-door hatchback shape that never really goes out of style because it's just functionally honest design. The rear end is where I think Opel really landed something memorable. Those vertical LED taillights have this distinctive graphic that's instantly recognizable, especially at night. I've grown to see unique light signatures as genuinely important brand identity tools, and the Corsa's rear lights do exactly that job. You know what you're looking at from behind. Color options are worth talking about too, because Opel is offering some genuinely expressive choices for 2026. There's this deep celestial blue and a really nice olive green in the palette alongside the more expected blacks, whites, and silvers. I've experienced too many small cars where the color choices feel like an afterthought, so I appreciate when a manufacturer gives you something with actual personality. Stepping inside the 2026 Corsa, I realized something pretty quickly. This interior does a lot with a relatively compact space, and I don't mean that as a backhanded compliment. I mean Opel has genuinely thought about how people actually use every inch of this cabin, and the result is something that feels considered rather than cramped. The headline feature is that wide 10-inch touchscreen sitting high and prominent on the dashboard. It runs Opel's latest infotainment interface, which supports wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. The system is responsive, the menu logic makes sense, and I've come to appreciate that the most important controls are easily reachable without having to dig through multiple submenus. Climate controls are physical buttons and dials sitting below the screen, which, in my opinion, is still the correct answer for everyday usability. What I've noticed about the material quality is that Opel has been strategic where they spend the budget. The surfaces you touch most frequently, the steering wheel, door pull handles, gear selector, these feel properly finished and solid. Some of the lower surfaces are harder plastic, but honestly in this class and at this price point, that's completely expected and acceptable. The driving position is genuinely good. You sit comfortably, sight lines are excellent all around, which matters a lot in city environments, and everything falls naturally to hand. Front seat comfort is solid for daily use. Over time, I've learned that long-distance comfort in a small hatchback is never going to be perfect, but for its intended purpose, the Corsa front seats do their job well. Rear seats are tight for adults on longer journeys, I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but for shorter trips or for kids, it works fine. The cargo area gives you around 267 liters of boot space with seats up, which is typical for the class, enough for groceries, gym bags, and weekend essentials without breaking a sweat. Tech features worth calling out specifically include the available head-up display, which I've grown to love in everyday driving because keeping your eyes on the road rather than glancing down genuinely reduces fatigue. The driver assistance suite covers automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, speed sign recognition, and rear parking sensors as standard on most trims. These aren't just checkbox features. I've experienced enough close calls to know that good automatic emergency braking is legitimately valuable in real-world traffic situations. Alright, here's my honest take. Should you buy the 2026 Opel Corsa? I believe this car makes a compelling case for a very specific kind of buyer, and if you fit that profile, it's a genuinely strong choice. If you're looking for an efficient, good-looking, modern small car for daily urban and suburban use that doesn't cost a fortune to buy or run, the Corsa checks those boxes cleanly. From my point of view, the electric version is the one I'd be pointing most buyers toward in 2026, particularly if you have home charging sorted out. The running costs, the driving experience, the reduced mechanical complexity over time, it all adds up to a genuinely compelling ownership proposition. If the electric version doesn't suit your situation for whatever reason, that 130 horsepower 1.2 turbo petrol is the petrol variant I'd be recommending without hesitation. What I've come to understand after really digging into the Corsa is that Opel isn't trying to reinvent what a small car should be, they're just trying to do it really well, with good design, honest engineering, and enough modern technology to feel current without being overwhelming. And honestly, that approach is underrated. Not every car needs to be revolutionary. Sometimes just being genuinely good at the fundamentals is exactly enough. Now this is one of those cars that doesn't get talked about enough, and I think that's exactly why I wanted to make this video. So, if you learned something, enjoyed the breakdown, go ahead and subscribe to Luxury Motor. Drop a comment and tell me whether you'd go Corsa electric or stick with the petrol. I'm curious where you guys land on that one. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.